What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. Today is Sunday, March 5th. It's the final day of the NFL Scouting Combine. Probably the day us Commander fans should be paying the most attention to, because it's the day of the offensive linemen and running backs. More so because of the offensive linemen. We know we need help on the offensive line, and I don't expect a sexy pick at 16 in the first round. I expect a few linemen to come off the board for Washington when we get there. But yesterday was the day of all days during the scouting combine. It's the day we always look forward to. Seeing the QB class on full display, checking the boxes, and validating what we already know from what we see on film. And Washington is at full force at the combine. I seen a picture yesterday. They gave us some updates. I saw Jack Del Rio, Martin Mayhew, Marty Herney, and Ron up in the box. Of course, Jack wasn't prepared for the picture. He had his damn big board cheat sheet on his lap, and you could literally, if you zoom in close enough, our boys in the group chat caught it, because, we're super sleuths when it comes to this shit. We be on our Sherlock. You can literally see like a whole essay, a whole ass write-up essay on Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback from Oregon, on it, which means they're doing their homework. So I love to see the due diligence. The team took that picture down immediately, because you never want to give that type of information away, tip the cap, or give a competitive advantage for anyone to know that sort of thing. Only us, only in Washington will you take a picture of your defensive coordinator while he has his big board cheat sheet on his lap with player write-ups visible to the average eye. But you know how we do in Washington. But the quarterbacks put on an absolute show yesterday. I know there's a lot of people out there. Why do you guys take anything or any validity to the underwear Olympics? Nigga, because we love football. I love football. I love this shit. And if you play the sport, you know that there is something and there is significance to the underwear Olympics, You got to be able to stack guys athletically, movement-wise, fluidity-wise, up to all of their predecessors of years past. You have to be able to compare that sort of thing. You have to be able to project them at the next level, and these things matter. Does a broad jump or a vert or a 40-yard dash mean that you're a good football player? No, it doesn't, but it can check boxes, and it can have you seen in a light different from how you were viewed coming into the combine. And for some guys, it's just validation. This is what I do. I'm going to come up here and show you I'm a baller. Like CJ Stroud, quarterback of Ohio State, a guy that won the Elite 11 competition that Trent Dilfer runs when he was in high school. A guy who's one of the most highly touted and accurate pinpoint passers we've seen in college football in the last 10 to 15 years. Is it a surprise that he put on a throwing clinic yesterday? No, it's not. But seeing it up close, it's a beautiful thing to see. His reset, his balance, the way his feet work, his whole process. He looks like a well-oiled machine veteran who does this shit. It's nothing to him. And I seen someone tweet some dumb shit yesterday. It was like, wow, it's alarming, the accuracy, the disparity between Stroud and Richardson. No, it's not. Did y'all watch college football? Richardson's biggest issue is his accuracy, and Stroud's greatest strength is his. Why is that alarming? We already knew what that was. Stroud is the best, most accurate passer in this class coming out. It's not a surprise at all. Another thing, talking about box check. Bryce Young, quarterback of Alabama, projected number 1 pick in the draft. Y'all talked all this shit. Oh my God, he's going to weigh 180. He's going to weigh 185. He's going to weigh 190. How could we ever draft him to play quarterback? He weighed in at 204, 3 pounds behind Kyler Murray, who had a stockier build, but 3 pounds behind his combine weight. Is that the weight he's going to go into the season as? Probably not. But the kid's like 21 years old. He still has time to grow. You put him on an NFL nutrition plan and a weightlifting plan. Get some supplements in him. He's going to be fine. You know what he can do on the field? Everything. He checks every box you want, and he shouldn't even. I'm glad he didn't throw at the combine. Honestly, if I was touted to be the first pick in the draft, me personally, this is why I'm not a prospect, and this is why I'm on the couch. But I wouldn't throw at the combine, and I wouldn't throw at my pro day. Put the fucking tape on. You know what I can do on a football field. But Bryce Young, checks the boxes, character, personality-wise, and he checked the boxes for you goofies out there who thought his weight was going to stop him from being the top guy in this class. And then we go to the man of the hour, the guy who the underwear Olympics is made for, Anthony motherfucking Richardson, quarterback out of Florida. Just put on the freakiest display of quarterback traits we've seen in the history of the scouting combine. We're talking about a 6'4", 245-pound quarterback who ran a 4.4 340, which is faster than a lot of receivers and faster than a whole bunch of players on defense. A 10.9 broad jump, longest ever for a quarterback. 40.5-inch vertical jump, highest ever for a quarterback. I believe only 4 quarterbacks in the history of the combine ran a faster 40 than Anthony Richardson, but he also got helped by the fact that Lamar Jackson didn't run it because Lamar is a 4.3, possibly 4.2 guy. He's absolutely electric. So we're looking at a guy with the mobility of Lamar Jackson, the size of Cam Newton, and the arm of the guys like Allen and Mahomes and them, because the arm is absolutely ridiculous. Yes, he's a project on paper with quotations around it, but he has every tool and trait that you want to see, and he put on a very, very, very impressive showing throwing the football. Was it perfect like CJ Stroud's was? No. He's played in 13 games, but I know Josh Allen played more games than him in college, but we're not going to sit here and act like we can't fathom why Richardson would go top 10, but Josh Allen went top 10, because he's freakier than Josh Allen. So I don't want to hear that shit. Well, Josh Allen played for Wyoming. He played for Florida. That Florida team not impressive. A couple draftable guys on that team. That Florida team not nice. They play in the SEC, and they have one of the weaker rosters in the SEC. And he was just as productive in his draftable year than Josh Allen was. When you include the rushing, he was more productive. So let's keep that same energy that we had for Josh Allen, for Anthony Richardson. Draft traits, draft the projectable guy. Don't necessarily take the guy who peaked in high school, peaked in college, because all of these guys have a ceiling except Anthony Richardson. He's a fucking house with the top off of it. The ceiling is the sky, not the roof like Michael Jordan said, the sky. And if you hit and you develop and water the roots that Anthony Richardson has, you're going to have a bona fide superstar for the next 10 to 15 years. Y'all thought Cam Newton was a Superman, freaky-ass player, and Cam had the college resume to put with it. But he stayed in college longer. He went and won a national championship, won the Heisman, all that. I know there's differences between these players, but there's very, very substantial evidence and reason why Anthony Richardson should go top 10, maybe even top 5 in this draft. And I think he should be drafted higher than Will Levis. Last quarterback I want to talk about of the combine group. Will Levis, remember, you know how there's the underwear Olympics, you're supposed to just go out and make it look easy? It didn't look easy for Will Levis yesterday. He threw a couple balls in the dirt. He threw every out route behind the receiver. And he was trying too hard to show touch and not his cannon that he self-proclaimed at his media scrum interviews the other day. Well, not a good showing from Will Levis. He was, oh, look at me, I can throw sidearm. Like, cool, dude. Throw the fucking correct trajectory. He didn't have a good day throwing the ball. And why the fuck is Will Levis, just because he was in a pro-style system, why is he seen as more highly touted than Anthony Richardson? The tape ain't in pro. Oh, he played in 2 pro-style offenses and he played in the SEC. Yeah, and he didn't play good. He didn't play well in either of them. Like, what are we talking about? Why the hell is Levis talked about as the possible first pick in the draft, but people want to vomit at the notion that Anthony Richardson can be drafted that high? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Richardson looks way more impressive than Will Levis. Will Levis just looks like the prototypical rom-com starter jock tool ass quarterback from any romantic comedy of the early 2000s and the 90s. He looks like the prototype guy. He looks like his name's Brock. He looks like he wears a varsity jacket to school every Friday. He looks like he plays for Riverdale High. I don't get it. Honestly, I don't get the hype with him. Like, they talk about his mobility and his size. Richardson is bigger, stronger, faster, better arm. There's more upside. And Richardson's 21. And Levis is 23. Like, what are we talking about? Like, We have to stop moving the goalposts for certain prospects and keeping it in place for others. What are we talking? Stetson Bennett threw the ball better than Will Levis yesterday. I didn't even know Stetson Bennett had that type of juice in his arm. Stetson Bennett can sling it. I keep giving him this Taylor Heineke projection, but he actually has a better arm, much better arm than Taylor Heineke has. But that's enough for the quarterbacks, man. I love watching quarterbacks throw the ball. I love watching the quarterbacks work out. And another guy who put on an absolute show is Darnell Washington, the tight end, the second best tight end on the Georgia Bulldogs, the national champion. This dude is 6'6", 265, and ran a 4.6. And he can catch. He has natural hands. He looks natural. He looks lean. He carries his 265 real lean like a goddamn power forward in the NFL. Man, he looks very impressive. In this tight end class, I'm glad we're doing our due diligence on them because they look very, very impressive. And I think we're going to dip into that. I don't care what Ron says about Logan Thomas in these interviews. I think we're going to dip our hat into the draft class of these tight ends because they say this is the best class coming out in 10 years. And I believe it when I see all these guys putting in this work. But today is the offensive line day. So we've met with center from Minnesota, best center in the draft, John Michael Schmitz. We met with Darnell Wright, tackle from Tennessee. And those are two names you want to look out for. You want to look out for Florida guard Osiris Torrance. Definitely looks like a Ron guy. Peter Skoronski, for obvious reasons, he's one of the top tackles from Northwestern. He's interchangeable and offers Ron's favorite two words that he says, and every time a microphone's put in his face, position flex, positional flexibility. He offers that. Broderick Jones out of Georgia. Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma. Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse. Guard Steve Avila out of TCU. We have linemen for days to take a look at today, and this is the day we want to pay the most attention to at the Combine because I feel like a whole bunch of the hog mollies and the big uglies are what our draft class of 2023 is going to consist of. But other than that, Chad Forbes put out something saying that we may be interested in SHAQUIL Griffin when the Jaguars release him for a salary cap cut of about $12 million. Shaq Griffin looked cooked last year. I'm not even going to hold you. The last 2 years, he hasn't looked great. He's still under 30. I think he's 28 years old. He ran a 4.38 coming out. So there's speed. He would add a speed element. I'm sure he's not nearly as explosive as he was when he came out in the draft like 5 or 6 years ago, but he would be an upgrade to the defense, but we can do better at the DB position. Have y'all seen the cornerback class coming out? I would take him, but not like a pick I would be in love with or I would do backflips over, but he would be an improvement to the defense. So if we do end up signing him, sure. But Chad Forbes throws all types of shit at the wall. He's right sometimes, and sometimes he sounds absolutely foolish. So take that shit with a grain of salt. And the great Twitter page of Dan Snyder's Yacht Tracker and Jet Tracker, they have managed to ping and track Jerry Jones and Jeff Bezos' private jets at the same terminal on some tropical island somewhere the last week of February. I don't know what this means, but Jerry Jones is the belle of the ball, the top dog, the Regina George of the plastics of the NFL. He's the queen bee top dog of this shit. He's the prom queen. He's the prom king of the NFL owner fraternity. So if there's anybody talking to Jeff Bezos about a potential sale and brokering a deal with Dan Snyder, it's Jerry Jones, because it would look real funny in the bright lights if Roger Goodell was doing it. So he could have Jerry Jones doing his vetting for him. And Andrew Brandt said someone told him that Tillman Fertitta, owner of the Houston Rockets, is putting in a sale to finalize a bid for the team or something. Everything is white noise at this point. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm glad we're getting news because I want every single tidbit of news coming out because I love shit like this. That's why I enjoy shows like Succession and Billions, because I love the whole money aspect and seeing how these otherworldly wealthy humans live and maneuver, because that's something that a normal motherfucker like myself could never fathom or understand. So getting into that world, it interests me. It makes my eyebrows perk up a little bit. But the only thing I do know is that a sale is imminent, and each passing day until March 26th, we get closer and closer to the removal of Dan Snyder. So he now has 3 weeks 21 days until owners meetings where they're either going to be voting on approving the new owner or voting on voting Dan's dumbass out if he decides to be stubborn and not sell the team. It feels like all lanes lead to Bezos buying the team, but it could be wrong. John Kahn said yesterday, just don't be afraid to expect the unexpected because you never know what's going to happen with this team. What I do know is that by the time we get to the draft, I think Daniel Snyder will be long gone, exiled into the oblivion of the UK, where he can go buy and ruin some soccer team, some football club over there. But we're getting that much closer. It's Sunday, March the 5th. I'm about to go watch some DC Defenders and check out these offensive tackles and running backs today at the last day of the NFL scouting combine. We are now 11 days away from the NFL negotiation tampering period and free agency getting underway. Content aplenty to come in the upcoming days. Hail to the Washington Commanders. Salute. Deuces.